right, no worries. Hello. Hello, my name is Max. This is Clinton. We're 2/3 of Clinton My Architects.
I'm going to be pressing the buttons here today.
He's the button presser. I was the lead designer on this project. Our clients, Joe and Lincoln, bought this block in the late 90s for essentially nothing. It's huge by inner city standards. Seddon, which is right next to Footscray. It's 800 square metres. It's got 3 street frontages, and it really bullies this little corner shop that it's next to. Today, the real estate agents, they would be licking their lips, but back then it was just another falling down house in Footscray. The backyard was full of cars. Clinton designed the original extension that you can see there.
It's fabulous.
He's very proud of it. But Lincoln, who's the man in the polo, our client, he got his dodgy mate to build it. So by early 2019, it was really in need of renewal. So this is Joe, that's Lincoln, and that's their son, George. They came back to us to do their extension, a new extension. Their brief was pretty straightforward. They wanted something that would last this time, but also something that would bring joy to them and their family. So that's Joe. She's a farm girl. She's a mad gardener, as you can tell, and she wanted it to be full of light, colour and texture. Lincoln was more pragmatic. I mean, he's a plumber. He's got a laugh that will make you laugh along. But he wanted it to be simple, builder-friendly, utilitarian. Next, please. Thank you. The original extension, which you can see there on the map, really hugged the old house, the old cottage, which is the pitched roof, and retreated from the backyard. And our concept was to push out into that space. Bring the garden into the house and the house into the garden. The west is that dotted line was sort of off limits because they were thinking about subdividing sometime in the future. And the north, that grey blob, is a hideous shed that we couldn't get them to get rid of. So you enter at number 1, which is on Alexander Street. It's a typical double-fronted Victorian house. Each room has one window and a high hallway, and we left that sort of nucleus of the old house intact. You step up to that, and then you walk through this high hallway and into a glazed link, and then step down into the new extension, which is on ground level. So there's that idea of it's mimicking stepping down to outside. To your right is quite a large laundry and access to the bathroom that way, and also access to a service yard. 5 is walking past a little study nook, and then you really walk out into this open space of the kitchen and the dining room, and views out into the garden. And the interior is warm and colourful, and that's for Joe. The old house is just all painted, white painted plasterboard, clad skirts and that. And with this we've got a concrete floor that's been painted yellow, plywood on the walls, joinery, an orange kitchen, and red ironbark cladding. And of course there's straw board on the ceiling, which adds this level to the texture to a plane that's so often without it. Also their son is 215 centimetres tall, plays basketball in America, so he spends a lot of time up close to the ceiling. Well, the rest of us don't. So that was partly for him. It also wasn't lost on Jo, of course, being a farm girl. She would now be living essentially underneath a haystack. So a bit of humour there, I suppose. That's the orange kitchen. Next, please. So also the straw board introduced this idea of acoustic. So the floor treatment, wall treatment, it's all quite hard. So it really deadens the sound, offers a foil. So that when you're in the space, it's very nice. And acoustics were also a factor in this screen, which has been printed onto Ortex, which is an acoustic panel. The image was taken by Joanne, the client, under the Point Lonsdale pier. And that's a place where they go on holidays. It's a very special place for the family. And, it's another personal touch, I suppose, to the design. The exterior is deliberately the opposite. So you've got concrete, veranda and gull sheet cladding. There's Lincoln looking very proud with his shiny new gal. It was, like I said before, utilitarian for Lincoln. It was hard-wearing sort of stuff. This is so often used as a plumbing material. Lincoln had to go down to the yard twice because they kept on delivering it. It was so scratched that you couldn't use it for anything. It was just insane. The next, please. Thank you very much. So the only real continuation of material outside to inside is that straw board on the ceiling. So inside it's an allegory for a haystack. Outside, I suppose, it's pea straw mulch because Joe's such a mad gardener. But it's to do with that texture as well. It's the foil to the hard surface below. And also that gal sheet, it offers a reflection to the garden. So we're talking about bringing the garden into the house. It's the same sort of idea, that it subtly reflects that garden. And you can see in the next slide the way that it reflects now. It will dull off with time, but it's protected, so hopefully it maintains a bit of that. The pool was introduced late in the planning, and that's on the next slide. Thank you, boss. And that's our builder, Simon, looking very happy with himself. So it was introduced late in the planning, and what we tried to do was go agricultural again. So a big concrete tank has to be very deep because one of the client stipulations was that their son, who's 215 centimetres tall, could fit standing and be covered, which is very high. And so we took it out of the ground 1200 to avoid having the pool fence dilemma, which is so hard, and so that it doesn't disrupt the garden. And in the next slide, you'll see the idea is that it blends into the garden, so that's it, behind that tall grass. So it's quite private. Next, please. So really, these are just some detailed photographs, just to trying to get the overall gesture in some images, which is like it's peace and stability, light and comfort, I think, and old and new, dare I say it. But most importantly, I think it's about living in and around your garden and not being afraid of a bit of colour, not being afraid of a bit of texture, contrast and humour, I suppose. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
More good claps.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much, Emma.
Thank you. There you go. Have a clap.